Today on Yester Kitchen, we're going to discover Chinese cooking by American nuns taught in Tokyo, Japan. You're going to love it. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Jill and this is Yester Kitchen. If you're new here, welcome. It would be an honor to have you join us as we explore retro history through food. And today we are going, way in the Wayback Machine. So I am so honored that I get cookbooks from you guys as gifts pretty often. And I just can't tell you how grateful I am, how exciting it is, I feel so special. And then when I get a cookbook, I just dive right into it, and it's just so much fun to see something from your past, your collection, what you think I might like that comes my way. It's just a beyond honor. So today, yes, we have The Art of Chinese Cooking by the Benedictine Sisters of Japan, 1956. This book was gifted to me by Katie K. Katie, this is a gorgeous book. Thank you so very much. It was so much fun reading, and it was so hard deciding what recipe to cook, but I got a good one for you. I'm not gonna tell you yet, although you saw the preview, so I'm sure you know by now. So this book, The Art of Chinese Cooking, who were the Benedictine Sisters of Peking? So in 1930, there were some nuns, they were missionaries that went over to Peking, China to do their religious work. And while they were there, they had a cook. The cook's name was Ta Shi Fu, just like that. Whether it was a man or a woman, I was unable to find out, but who cares? These recipes are amazing. So Ta Shi Fu would cook for them, but they were so interested in learning Chinese cooking. So they would watch, they would take notes, they would ask questions. They were just right there in the learning process while their food was being prepared. And they learned so much about Chinese cooking, especially because a lot of the ingredients, the Western ingredients that they knew and loved, were not available in China. So they had to learn it, but they fell in love with Chinese cooking. So there they were doing their work, and then World War II happened. And the Japanese army in China rounded up all the Americans and put them in civilian concentration camps. Now, here is a cookbook 20 years later, so we know they turned out okay. So after World War II and they were released, they went back to do their work, and then communism happened all over China, and the government decided it wasn't safe for them, and they picked them up and moved them to Tokyo, Japan. So they kind of did a full circle. So now they're in Japan doing their work, but they literally had nothing. So they were trying to figure out what they could do to earn money, earn a living, pay for food. They had a few friends, and they were telling them their stories back in China. And one of their friends said, "Why don't you teach Chinese cooking here in Japan? I bet people would love it." And so they gathered up all the recipes that they learned from Ta Shi Fu and just started saying, okay, we're gonna teach Chinese cooking, because they really had it down. So they started with 6 students a week, and they grew to 150 students a week. It was that popular. One of the nuns actually held a master's in home economics and actually was a home economics teacher in high schools and colleges before she did her mission work in China. So they had some background on that. So they taught all the recipes in this fabulous cookbook, and actually this cookbook followed their success. After the cooking, after their success, they're like, we're gonna put all these recipes in a cookbook. 1956, here it is, absolutely gorgeous. All the recipes in here are home Chinese cooking. No, they're not restaurant, they're not fancy. They're what your typical family in northern China, all northern China, would eat at home. So today, I've decided, after looking at every single recipe, it was so much fun, I landed on sweet and sour meatballs with green pepper and pineapple. And the reason I picked it, first of all, who doesn't love meatballs? We've done so many of them before. But they're not your average sweet and sour meatballs. There's no ketchup in them. They're absolutely fabulous. It's a true Chinese dish. And they're party perfect, because what's better than a meatball? A toothpick, a drink, you're ready to go. So let's get in the kitchen. Let's make these things. You're gonna love them. I'm excited. Let's go. Okay, we're in the kitchen with The Fine Art of Chinese Cooking. Oh, I love this book. And just so you see the picture, here's our recipe with these cute little meatballs and pineapples all the way around. All right, let's get cooking. I'm totally excited. In my happy little mixing bowl, I have a pound of ground beef, just ready to go. To that, very simply, I'm gonna add an egg. Sorry, I like my sound effects. A teaspoon of salt, 1/8 a teaspoon of pepper. Right in we go. 2 tablespoons onion, pretty finely chopped. Here we go. But we are gonna get every last chop of onion in there. And the last thing is a tablespoon of cornstarch. I know, right in the meatballs. Well, I'm telling you, the Benedictine Sisters of Peking are not wrong. Okay, so I am gonna mix this up with my impeccably clean hands. And give me a second just to get this all mixed through. Okay, it is all mixed, happy mixed together. Look at all that. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some meatballs. Benedictine sisters say we should get 18. We have a few more, a few less. That's what happens. So we're just gonna make little tiny, maybe golf ball size meatballs. Just like that. Get them on one of my favorite platters. Look at that. Okay, I am gonna go ahead, plunk, and finish making these meatballs. And we'll be right back when they're all done. Okay, so I got 20 meatballs, so we're pretty close. So now we're gonna move over to the stove and cook these meatballs, but first I've got a quick tip for you. When you make meatballs and rub them in your hands, wet your hands, and then they won't stick, and it'll work so much easier. Okay, give me 1 second. We're going over to the pan. Okay, here we are. You want a pretty large skillet for this because you got a lot of meatballs. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna warm it up on medium heat and maybe put, I don't know, 1 tablespoon, maybe 1.5 tablespoons. Tiny bit of oil. You don't really need a lot. And swirling around, there it goes. And now we're just gonna put every single one of our happy little meatballs, who are about to get happier, into the pan. So what you're gonna do is you are gonna cook these meatballs through in your happy little pan. And then you're gonna drain them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook them. I'll probably check in with you about halfway through. We're gonna put them on a paper towel, on a plate, let them drain, set them aside, and make this amazing sweet and sour sauce with pineapple and green pepper, straight from the Benedictine Sisters of Peking, and brought to me by my new friend Katie, who, what a gift. What an absolute gift piece of history this is. Okay, let's cook for a little bit, and we'll be back. Okay, we're maybe about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes into it. So our meatballs are getting brown on one side, as you can see. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip all of them. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it to low. I'm gonna cover it so the meatballs can actually cook in the center. So, I'm not gonna keep you here while I do all my flipping. You'll probably get bored. So I am gonna flip everything. Then I'm gonna put my cover on it, and we will be back when the meatballs are done. Okay, our meatballs are ready. Take a look. They are beautiful. They're brown. They're cooked through. I'm steaming up the camera. They probably took about, maybe just about 3 or 4 minutes covered. Cooked through completely. Took them out, put them on paper towels, as you saw. There we go. Drained. And now they're just sitting aside and waiting to take a bath. So let's make that bath. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of oil. You can use vegetable, you can use canola, something very neutral. Don't use olive oil, don't use sesame oil, just a neutral oil. And to that, we have 1 cup of pineapple juice. And you do wanna use a large pot because we're gonna be adding a lot to the pot and you want room to stir. All right, you just wanna cook just a couple minutes over like a medium heat, just to let it warm up a little bit is really the entire goal of the oil and the pineapple juice. Okay, now we're gonna get out our trusty whisk and we are gonna add 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. So you just kind of want to dust it along. Make sure it all comes out. I mean, you have to get every speck, but you know, do what you can. And that's where your whisk comes in. Anytime you're mixing flour, cornstarch, or anything powdery, a whisk is always your best friend because it'll just mix it up and it'll make sure that there's no clumps in it. Oh, look at that. Which is exactly what we're doing, and you would not be happy if you were just using a spoon. So trust me on this and use a whisk. Okay, to this. Ready? Let's get everything else in the pool. 1 tablespoon soy sauce. 6 tablespoons of water. Stir that a little bit more. Okay, now we have 3 tablespoons of vinegar. I've used apple cider because that's going to really give you the sour part of the sweet and sour. You can also use rice vinegar for a milder sour. That's totally acceptable. Rice vinegar, very, very popular in Chinese cooking. So you can totally do that too. Okay, and now last but not least, here comes your sweet, a half a cup of sugar. And in it goes. Now you want to just mix, 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 mix. And you want to cook until it's thickened, which is pretty much now. Now, we are going to take our meatballs. Here they are. And add them right back into our pot. And now to that, we're going to add 3 green peppers. Look at that, very thinly sliced. And to that, I used 1 can of pineapple chunks. The original recipe says 4 canned rings of pineapple chopped up. So I decided to just use the can, which is probably more than what the sisters used, but it is pineapple and I'm not sure what else I'm going to do with it. So into the pot it goes. And now literally you're just going to cook this for, I don't know, maybe about 6-8 minutes. I'm going to cover it so the steam gets trapped, so the vegetables get softened, and we will be back. Okay, so from the Benedictine Sisters of Peking comes, I don't want to fog up the camera, sweet and sour meatballs with pineapple and green pepper. Absolutely gorgeous. I maybe let this go for about, not long, 3 or 4 minutes on low heat. And by the way, you can easily drain, because I know you need a cup of pineapple juice. What you drain out of the can will not be enough, so you're going to have to buy a little bit more, but it's worth it, I promise you, and you can make lots of cocktails with your leftover pineapple juice. So this is it. This is a simple home Chinese dish. Now, Peking cooking is not, it's not Szechuan, it's not spicy, it's very subtle, it's very delicious. Guys, what would Chinese food be without white rice? So we just have meatballs with green pepper, and you don't want the green peppers cooked to like mush. You just want them cooked down a little bit. Look at that. Absolutely, absolutely so gorgeous that I have to take a taste. Oh my God, I know you can't see me. I am a happy camper. Thanks for stopping by. It's always such an honor to have you join me. And Katie, thank you one more time for such a beautiful gift. Enjoy eating the past, and I will see you in the next video.